The Zethkar containment facility was escape-proof. Automated security, energy barriers, quantum locks that couldn't be picked. Every prisoner wore inhibitor collars that suppressed technology use. Then they captured Sergeant Marcus Chen, and he escaped using nothing but rocks, bones from his meals, and knowledge that was 50,000 years old. This is the story of the most primitive prison break in galactic history. When human soldiers were captured by the Zethkar Imperium during a border skirmish, everyone assumed they'd stay captured. The Zethkar prisons were designed to hold species with advanced technology, sophisticated escape techniques, and modern capabilities. But nobody designed them to hold a species that remembered how to make cutting tools from stones and weapons from bones. Marcus Chen spent 3 months in maximum security. Then he walked out through walls the Zethkar thought were impenetrable. And he did it using techniques his ancestors invented before they learned to farm. The Zethkar Imperium didn't start wars. They ended them. When border disputes got too heated, when negotiations failed, when shooting started, the Zethkar stepped in. They were the galaxy's peacekeepers, self-appointed but effective. They had overwhelming military superiority and used it to enforce stability. Their method was simple: intervene in conflicts, capture all combatants, hold them in containment facilities until diplomats resolve the underlying disputes, then release everyone with stern warnings about maintaining peace. It worked because Zethkar containment facilities were escape-proof. In 300 years of operation, 0 successful escapes. 0. When human forces clashed with Kryn militia over mining rights in the Theta sector, the Zethkar intervened. They captured 47 humans and 63 Kryn, transported them to Facility 7 for detention. Among the captured humans was Sergeant Marcus Chen, 34 years old, career infantry. He'd served in wilderness operations, had survival training, and had spent a year on Earth studying primitive technology as part of a Special Forces preparation course. That last detail would prove crucial. Facility 7 was state-of-the-art. Individual cells with energy barriers, automated security systems, inhibitor collars that prevented prisoners from using or building technology. The collars had sensors that detected tool use, weapon construction, even suspicious patterns of behavior. The cells were bare, smooth walls, no furniture that could be weaponized. Prisoners received food through automated delivery. Waste was removed by cleaning systems, everything designed to prevent escape. Chen was processed like everyone else, stripped of equipment, given prison clothing, fitted with an inhibitor collar, assigned to Cell Block C, Unit 47. The cell was 3 meters by 4 meters, walls made of reinforced composite, energy barrier instead of a door, a sleeping platform, nothing else. Food came 3 times a day, nutrient paste and synthesized protein, delivered through a dispenser. Waste was handled automatically. "You'll be here until diplomats resolve the dispute," a Zethkar guard told Chen. "Could be weeks, could be months. Best to accept it." Chen said nothing, just looked around his cell, cataloging everything. The guards left. Chen sat on his sleeping platform and thought. He couldn't use technology. The collar would detect it and alert guards. He couldn't break through walls with his bare hands. He couldn't disable the energy barrier. But there had to be a way out. There was always a way out. Chen started with observation, watched the guards, studied their routines, noted how often they patrolled when they checked cells, what triggered their attention. He observed the other prisoners, how they behaved, what they tried, what got them in trouble. Most tried to tamper with technology, the energy barriers, the inhibitor collars, the automated systems. Every attempt was detected immediately. Punishment was swift. But Chen wasn't interested in technology. He was interested in materials. The food dispensers delivered nutrient paste in biodegradable containers. The synthesized protein came in what looked like meat strips. The guards never checked what happened to food waste. They assumed it was automatically removed with other waste. Chen started saving things. The containers, the protein strips, anything that wasn't immediately recycled by the cleaning systems. He noticed something interesting about the protein strips. They contained bone-like structures, not real bones. Synthesized calcium matrix designed to mimic natural food texture, but structurally similar. The Zethkar had designed prison food to be nutritious but completely non-threatening. They'd never considered that bones could be tools. Chen also noticed that the cleaning systems didn't remove everything. Small particles, dust, debris that collected in corners. He started collecting that too. Tiny mineral particles, fragments of composite material, anything hard. For 2 weeks, he did nothing but collect materials and hide them in his clothing, under his sleeping platform, in cracks in the walls too small for sensors to notice. The guard saw a prisoner who'd accepted captivity. Quiet, compliant, no trouble. They had no idea he was gathering resources. Week 3, Chen started work. Not with modern tools, with techniques that predated civilization. He took the bone-like structures from his meals, selected the largest, hardest pieces. Then he began the slow process of knapping, striking one piece against another to create sharp edges. Flint knapping, Stone Age technology. Humans had been doing it for 2 million years. The synthesized bone wasn't ideal, but it was hard enough, brittle enough. Chen could fracture it in controlled ways to create edges. He worked slowly, quietly, a few strikes per night, hidden under his blanket while sensors monitored the cell. The strikes were too quiet to trigger audio sensors, too subtle to appear as tool construction to the automated systems. Because the systems were looking for technology, metalworking, chemical processes, electronics assembly. They weren't looking for a human making Stone Age tools. After a week of careful work, Chen had his first tool, a crude blade, sharp edge, maybe 5 centimeters long, made entirely from food waste. The inhibitor collar didn't react. As far as it was concerned, Chen was holding a piece of garbage. He tested the blade, used it to score the wall, left a tiny mark. The composite was hard but not indestructible. He could cut it. Slowly, Chen began the next phase. He needed a better tool, something that could cut faster. He collected more materials, selected harder pieces, started creating more sophisticated blades using pressure flaking techniques, applying precise pressure to chip away tiny flakes and create sharper, more refined edges. It took 3 more weeks, but eventually, he had a proper cutting tool. Not metal, not modern, just a carefully shaped piece of synthesized bone with an edge sharp enough to cut composite material. The guards never noticed. Their sensors showed a prisoner doing nothing suspicious, eating, sleeping, complying with protocols. They didn't see him slowly cutting a hand-sized section of wall, working for hours each night, making progress measured in millimeters. Chen was cutting through the wall near the floor, where shadows made it harder to see, where cleaning systems created enough ambient noise to mask quiet scraping sounds. The composite was layered, multiple materials bonded together. Chen cut through one layer at a time, changing techniques based on what each layer required. Some layers were soft. He used sawing motions. Other layers were brittle. He used percussive strikes. He adapted his primitive tools to each challenge. It took 6 weeks to cut through the wall. 6 weeks of patient, careful work using tools that wouldn't have looked out of place in a Paleolithic campsite. When he finally broke through the outer layer, Chen discovered he'd accessed a maintenance conduit. Narrow space between cell blocks where automated systems ran power and data. The conduit was barely large enough for a human to squeeze through, but Chen was motivated. He waited until the night patrol passed. Then he removed the cut section of wall, slipped into the conduit, and replaced the wall section behind him. The cell sensors detected nothing. As far as they knew, Chen was still in his cell, sleeping. He crawled through the maintenance conduit, moving slowly. The space was filled with power cables, data conduits, structural supports, all automated. No guards. The inhibitor collar monitored his technology use but didn't restrict his movement. Why would it? Prisoners couldn't escape their cells. Chen found what he was looking for. A vertical access shaft leading to the facility's lower levels, used by maintenance drones. The shaft had handholds for drones. Human hands worked fine. He climbed down, past cell blocks, past security stations, down to the facility's foundation level. This is where Chen's survival training became crucial. He'd studied facility schematics during capture, memorized layouts, knew that foundation levels in Zethkar facilities always had emergency access points, required by their construction regulations. He found one, a sealed hatch, designed for emergency evacuation, locked electronically. Chen couldn't hack electronics, but he could break composite materials. He used his makeshift tools to score the hatch's edge, found the weakest points in its construction. Then he did something that required both knowledge and desperation. He made fire, not with technology, with friction. He gathered fibrous material from his prison clothing, found 2 suitable pieces of hard material in the maintenance conduit, created a bow drill using salvaged components and cord pulled from his clothes. The bow drill was Paleolithic technology, rotating a spindle against a fireboard fast enough to create friction heat and ignite tinder. It took an hour of continuous effort, but eventually, Chen had a small ember. He coaxed it into a flame using the fibrous tinder. The flame was tiny, but fire changes material properties, makes some things brittle, weakens bonds. Chen carefully applied heat to the hatch's locking mechanism, thermal stress. Then he struck it with a rock he'd picked up in the maintenance conduit. The lock broke. Not elegantly, not quietly, but it broke. Alarms triggered. Automated security systems detected the breach. Guards were alerted, but Chen was already moving through the hatch into the facility's external service area, where supply transports docked. Security drones converged on his last known position, but Chen wasn't there anymore. He'd stripped off the inhibitor collar, left it at the hatch to confuse sensors. The collar's removal triggered more alarms, but those alarms told security to look in the wrong place. Chen ran, not toward the main exit, toward the waste disposal area. Every facility generated waste that couldn't be automatically processed. That waste went somewhere. He found the waste transport system, large containers on automated sleds, destined for off-site processing. Chen climbed into a container, covered himself with refuse, stayed completely still as automated systems sealed the container and loaded it onto a transport. The transport left Facility 7 through secured gates. Security was looking for an escaped prisoner trying to flee, not waste going to routine processing. When the transport reached the processing station 3 hours later, Chen emerged from the container. He was filthy, exhausted, but free. He'd escaped the galaxy's most secure prison using Stone Age technology and Paleolithic survival skills. The escape triggered a massive investigation. Zethkar security reviewed everything. How had a prisoner escaped an escape-proof facility? They found the cut wall section, the maintenance conduit access, the broken hatch, the abandoned inhibitor collar, but they couldn't understand how. The prisoner had no tools, no technology, no assistance. Yet he'd cut through composite walls, created fire, and disabled a security lock. The investigation team brought in human consultants, asked them to explain. The consultants examined Chen's makeshift tools, the bone blades, the friction fire materials, the techniques used. "This is primitive technology," one consultant said. "Techniques from Earth's Stone Age, 50,000 years old, maybe older." "How did he learn this in prison?" a Zethkar investigator asked. "He didn't. He learned it before capture. Human special forces train in primitive survival, learning to operate without modern technology. Most species don't do this because they've had advanced technology for so long they've forgotten the old ways. Humans never forgot." The investigator examined a bone blade under magnification. "This is incredibly crude. How did it cut through our composite materials?" "Time and patience," the consultant replied. "Your materials are strong but not indestructible. Given enough time and the right technique, even primitive tools can cut through modern materials. You designed your security to prevent technological tampering. You never considered someone would use Paleolithic techniques." The report filed by Zethkar Security was embarrassing. Facility 7's security systems are designed to prevent escape using technology. The human prisoner escaped using pre-technological methods. Our sensors detected no tool creation because they weren't programmed to recognize primitive tools as threats. Recommendations included: update sensor arrays to detect primitive tool creation, train guards to recognize pre-technological escape methods, consider that human prisoners may possess knowledge and skills that predate modern civilization, The Galactic Council's Security Committee reviewed the incident, found it both alarming and fascinating. One species retains knowledge of primitive technology while achieving spaceflight, a Saurian representative said. Why? A human diplomat explained. Because we remember our history. We study our ancestors' techniques, not just as academic curiosity, but as practical skills. Military forces, survival experts, even hobbyists learn to make fire without matches, create tools without metal, survive with Stone Age capabilities. But why? The Saurian pressed. You have modern technology. Because technology fails, the diplomat replied. Power runs out. Equipment breaks. If you only know how to survive with technology, you die when that technology fails. Humans learned to survive without technology first, then added technology as a tool. That foundation remains. This makes humans dangerous, another representative said. If they can escape secure facilities using primitive methods. Only if you design security assuming everyone thinks like you do, the human diplomat said. Your facilities are built to contain species that depend on technology. Humans can function without it. That's not dangerous. That's just different, and you should account for that difference. The Zethkar upgraded their facilities, added sensors to detect primitive tool creation, trained guards in recognizing pre-technological threats, modified food to eliminate bone-like structures. But the damage to their reputation was done. The facility that had 0 escapes in 300 years had been beaten by a human using rocks and bones. Sergeant Marcus Chen became famous, not for military heroism, for reminding the galaxy that advanced civilization doesn't mean forgetting basic survival. He was interviewed after his return to Earth, asked how he knew the techniques would work. I didn't, Chen admitted, but I knew modern security doesn't consider primitive threats. They're looking for hacking, explosives, sophisticated escape methods. So I went the other direction, used techniques so old that their sensors weren't programmed to recognize them. You made Stone Age tools in a high-tech prison, the interviewer said. I made the same tools my ancestors made 50,000 years ago, Chen corrected. Those tools worked then. Turned out they still work now. You just need patience, knowledge, and motivation. What did you learn from the experience? Chen thought for a moment. That complexity isn't always strength. The Zethkar built incredibly sophisticated security, but they built it assuming prisoners would use modern methods. That assumption was their weakness. Sometimes the simplest approach is the most effective because nobody expects it. His escape became a case study in unconventional thinking. Military academies taught it. Security experts studied it. The lesson was simple. Don't assume your enemy will fight using your methods. Humans were dangerous, not because we had the best technology, but because we could operate effectively with no technology at all. 20 years after Chen's escape, he returned to Facility 7, this time as a consultant, helping the Zethkar redesign their security to account for primitive escape methods. He toured his old cell block, saw the repairs where he'd cut through the wall, the upgraded sensors, the modified food delivery system. We've learned from your escape, a Zethkar security chief said. Our facilities are now designed to contain prisoners who might use primitive methods. Good, Chen replied. But remember, there are always methods older than your sensors can detect. You can't anticipate every primitive technique because humans have been inventing them for millions of years. The best security isn't just technological, it's understanding how your prisoners think. He paused at his old cell. I escaped because you assumed I'd think like you, that I'd try to hack systems or build modern tools. You never considered I'd think like my ancestors, like someone who only had stones and bones and needed to survive. How do we defend against that? The security chief asked. You acknowledge that different species have different capabilities, Chen said. You build security that respects those differences, and maybe you teach your guards some human history, so they understand that modern humans still carry ancient knowledge, and that knowledge is still useful. Today, galactic prison facilities include training on primitive technologies. Guards learn to recognize stone knapping, friction fire, bone tools. They study human prehistory, not to oppress humans specifically, but to understand that evolution doesn't just move forward, it accumulates. Humans reached the stars while still remembering how to survive in caves. And that combination makes us unpredictable in ways that purely technological species struggle to counter. The Zethkar built the most secure prison in the galaxy. 300 years. 0 escapes. Every security system designed to prevent technological tampering. Then they locked up Marcus Chen, and he walked out using tools his ancestors invented 50,000 years ago. He made blades from bones, fire from friction, cut through walls using Stone Age techniques that no modern sensor recognized as threats. The Zethkar learned an expensive lesson. That advanced doesn't mean superior. That old methods persist because they work. That humans are dangerous not despite our primitive origins, but because we never forgot them. We went to space, but we remembered how to survive with nothing but stones and bones. And when you strip away all our technology, we're still the species that conquered Earth with sharp rocks and determination. That doesn't change just because we built spaceships. Subscribe for more stories about humans being terrifyingly competent at things we learned before we invented agriculture.